Oh boy, what a presentation it was. Major changes coming to the new era of Vanguard, and it is looking very bright. This video is sponsored by Phoenix Cards. If you need supplies of singles or splits for Cardfight Vanguard, especially the ones in the video, do check out Phoenix Cards today, and as a bonus, use the promo code METANERD to get an amazing 5% discount. And with that being said, let's get on with the video. Greetings YouTube, welcome back to the METANERD channel. I am Marcus, bringing you another video for Cardfight Vanguard DivineZ. In this video, we'll be going through what we know from the presentation stream so far. With the year 2024 coming up very quickly, the latest presentation also did reveal to us the direction that the game is going into, although the changes are not in particularly huge, but it is a welcoming one. It basically opens up new doors for deck building as well as new strategies to the current decks, despite it being a very small change. Not only that, we also do get some new info regarding what boss unit each nation will be getting, as well as the reprints of DivineZ BT01. Without further ado, let's take a look at all of these spicy reveals and, be hyped for the new year for Vanguard. First and foremost are the new boss units that we will be receiving for DivineZ BT01 next year. The one similarity between all of those boss units is that they each will have a skill called a divine skill. We currently do not really know a lot about this skill at the time of the recording. They will slowly just reveal what DivineZ skill will be doing. As far as what we know in regards to the DivineZ skill, it's basically like a once per game skill, where it's kind of used when you're at the ends of your ropes, or you're back into a corner, and then you activate the DivineZ skill and hopefully able to kind of turn the whole game around. Hopefully it's not too broken like the over trigger that we currently have. For Dragon Empire, we have the ninja looking dragon, fated one of the unparalleled Vanguard Dragress. I don't really know how you pronounce that name, but yeah, it's piloted by a red girl for some reason. For Dark States, we have a Chaos Breaker looking unit drawn by the same artists as Chaos Breaker Dragon, by the way. Fated one of Zero Blagdemire, piloted by a very edgy looking character. And for Cater Sanctuary, which is piloted by not Yu, fated one of Miracles Razile. For Stoichea, we have the Mr. Body himself and everyone's favorite necromancer, fated one of Taboo Zorga Nadir. Brandgate, we have our dear CEO, fated one of Guiding Stars Welstra Blitz Arms. And of course, the one nation that finally joined the big five in the main booster set, we have fated one of ever-changing Chris Rain from Lyrical Monastro. To be honest, all this boss unit looks really cool, and I really can't wait to see what they will bring to the table. Unfortunately, we will have to wait just a little bit longer to know what each boss's skill will be. The other bit of info that we have is that the bosses for Dragon Empire, Cater Sanctuary, Brandgate, as well as Lyrical Monastro will be in the first booster set, and the Dark States as well as Stoichea will be in the second booster set, which is coming out on the 5th of April next year. Not really sure why they decided to split them up, but I think it's to just spread out the important boss units that the next anime series will be focusing on. Not really sure if the other right lines that we have currently in Vanguard will be getting support, but I really hope they do, because some of the right lines that we have currently doesn't have enough to even go up against the meta. Bruce in particularly. Please give the other right lines some more support instead of focusing on this sig. I would really appreciate it, in particularly Bruce once again. For the confirmed reprints that the stream did kind of confirm, we have the effect triggers, the normal triggers that doesn't really have the skill, and for some reason is nationless for newer players to kind of customize their deck. The nation over triggers, as well as the red and blue over trigger. All of these are basically essential for deck building, and I would really like to say that this booster is the perfect gateway for those who are new to Vanguard to get into and potentially stock up on due to the amount of stapler cards that this booster set has. All of these are basically staplers from the last few booster sets, and they are great pickups to strengthen as well as customize your deck. I just hope that the reprints rate doesn't suck, as this is basically the perfect opportunity to pull in new players to help the game as an overall. So hopefully this reprints allows for more accessibility for newer players or even returning players to get back into the game. At the moment, the game is a little bit too expensive. Sorry, I lied. It's very expensive. So I really hope that with this reprint, it will kind of drop the overall entry price to the game by quite a bit, just so that new players can join. Now, with all the info out of the way, let's get into the really juicy stuff, which I think is probably the biggest news of the presentation overall. We are basically getting a major structure change in terms of our deck structure. So effective at the same time as the new quick start deck, all of our main deck will be increased to 50 cards as opposed to the current 46 cards, meaning that the right line will be separated out from the main deck. The right deck will also be increased to 5 cards with the addition of the energy generator, which we will cover in another video, meaning that in total we will have 54 cards in order to play a game of Vanguard. 5 cards from the right deck, 1 being the energy generator, and 4 cards from the right line, your 0, 1, 2, and 3, as well as 50 cards in the main deck. There are of course some other nation that basically alters how many cards you can have inside the right deck. For example, Gila, Monster Strike, as well as like Token Rambu, that kind of dictates how many cards you can have in your right deck. Those skills are still intact. It's just that you are able to, you know, put in the energy generator. It doesn't really affect anything. It doesn't really says you must have 5 cards in order to play the game. So those decks that increases the number of cards in the right deck are not affected by this. And of course, the last change is that whoever wins the rock, paper, scissors gets to choose who goes first or second. Now, these are really big in terms of deck building, because since the right line no longer be considered as the main deck, you are therefore have, what this means is that you will have 4 card slots open up for deck building. For the longest of time, ever since wheel dress was a thing, players including myself has been complaining about deck space. We don't really have a lot of deck space in order to fit in all the great support that our deck received over time. So I am actually extremely happy that we are getting 4 more card slots to basically increase the consistency of some cards in the deck, as well as, you know, maybe put in some of the open up card choices that we may want to run but we don't really have enough space to put. So yeah, it's going to help the deck reach its maximum consistency, as well as, you know, tag in some of the cheeky strategies that the deck has access to, but of course you don't really have the deck space for it. Now, I might be overselling the 4 extra slots inside the main deck, but to me it's a truly godsend change in my opinion. Triggers are still maintained at 16, which will appear at a reduced rate, although not by much, because, you know, we are adding like 4 normal units and the trigger units are not changing whatsoever. This can be seen as good or bad depending on how you look at it. The good is that the game will slightly be not affected that much by trigger checking, which in my opinion is quite nice. And of course, the bad for this is that the overall defense of the game is kind of lowered. Let me explain. Cardfight Vanguard D standard as of now, as we know, is at a very trigger dependent state, where the one who checked the most triggers, be it the drive or the damage check, will usually have a bigger advantage of that game. Of course, with over triggers still being a thing, and from the looks of it, they are still here to stay because of the reprints that is being confirmed. So with 4 non-trigger cards being added into the deck, it will slightly reduce the triggers from appearing, which steers the game slightly away from being trigger dependent, as well as, you know, not getting sacked by triggers as much. This in terms will kind of increase the duration of a game, as opposed to the current one where the speed of the game is really fast due to how aggressive as well as how trigger dependent each deck is. But at the same time, since triggers are slightly less likely to appear, it means that we might not be able to get 15k shield triggers to hand or damage check into it, which results in a lesser shield value, which kind of results in a lower shield hand overall. Some decks might get buffed because of this, but overall I think it's more crippling than buffed, to be perfectly honest, due to the points that I mentioned. Decks that has draw support that draws a lot will be better in the long run due to them going through the deck twice as fast as a normal deck. And of course, decks that soul charges a lot might have a slightly higher chance of not decking out thanks to the 4 extra slot cards being run inside the deck. But like I said, it might be inconsequential. It's not a big change, but I think it might make a bigger impact further down the road. So that's basically the big change that the stream actually revealed to us. It's not a big change, but like I said, all these small changes adds up, and it might just make a big impact further down the road as we could go into the meta of DivineZ. The going first and going second is okay for the average players, because I don't think the average players or casual players isn't going to be affected by this. But in terms of the more competitive scene, for example a WGP or Worlds, the going first and going second decision is really crucial, and it might just give the winner of the rock, paper, and scissors or dice roll a slight advantage depending on how good his matchup knowledge is. The best example I have is of course going to be the stride matchup, because usually you will definitely want to go go second. For stride decks, if they are going second, they are able to stride on the third turn, which is something you might not really appreciate if you are going up against the stride matchup. It's basically the same thing for stride deck mirror match. This change basically incentivizes players to, you know, win the rock, paper, scissors or dice roll, just so that they have like a very slight edge on deciding who goes first and second. Once again, this of course does not really affect average players or casual players because, you know, it doesn't really matter as much in terms of casual. But for more competitive players in a competitive scene, it might just makes a whole lot of difference. And that is all of the info that we get so far from the presentation stream. It only took like very slight changes to have a ripple effect on the game as an overall, and I hope that with all of these changes the game can improve and be better. As far as I can see, Bushiroad is making an effort in nudging the game in the right direction. Cheers to that better future. Do like and subscribe if you like this video, and of course ring the bell notification icon so that you don't miss a video I upload. With that being said, I'll see you all on a few.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.